Welcome to another episode. This is Awakening 101. I'm Jeremiah, and this
I'm Chaz.
is Chaz. Today, we're talking about the moon and all the conspiracies that surround it. Chaz, what do you know about the moon, and what don't you know about the moon?
It's a piece of rock that hit the planet and bounced off, I guess, and now it's the moon.
And it turned into a sphere because it spins and spins, right?
Yeah, it was like, well,
That makes sense.
well, shit, that's actually a really good point. Is that like the reason the Earth became like a round object was mainly because of the spin.
Right. Welcome to Awakening 101.
Okay, everybody calm down. We got to talk some serious shit.
We're glad you're here. Chaz is definitely glad you're here. Let's talk about the moon. Chaz, ask your question.
Ooh, I got question first?
I don't know, maybe.
Ooh, okay. How long has the moon been here?
Since the beginning of time?
Ooh, okay. I'll go with that. I guess technically at some point. It just wasn't here, right? It just wasn't with us. It was just somewhere else floating around before it rammed us.
It was probably a tiny little pebble
It
at
probably
first.
was, yeah.
And then crashed into the planet, and then it went it grabbed a couple bigger pebbles and then started spinning in the atmosphere and turned into the sphere it is today.
Dude, the fact that it doesn't spin, that bothers me now. I hate you. I really hate you. I just want you to know this is real-time shit going on right now, okay?
You're
This
welcome.
is like actually real. I'm just very upset.
We both just came to the realization. We already knew this, right? We already know the moon doesn't spin.
Yeah.
But we just realized that the moon doesn't spin.
On like another level.
How do you form a sphere of a planet, of a circle of a moon, if that object doesn't spin? How can it turn into the sphere that it is?
Everything's circular and spherical in the universe because it's spinning.
And the Earth
This is how it...
spherical because it spins. It turned it. It
Now,
got
I mean,
its shape from
technically it is spinning.
right.
The moon is spinning. It can complete one full rotation in one whole day.
And that's it would be like a 2D plane at that point.
But since we're attached to it, are we rotating?
Depends on.
If you think we're rotating, if you're looking at it and you're rotating around, well, then it's doing the same thing, but you're just tidal locked to it, so you don't ever get to see the actual spin of it happening because you're spinning at the same exact. That's another thing. It's like, how fucking rare is it that they spin at the exact same speed? You know, like
Right.
None of it. By the way, I went through 70, 80 odd moons in our solar system, okay? Not a fucking one of them is anything like our moon. Like, not one, dude. Not one, man.
Do other ones spin? Do they have their own rotation?
Yeah, they usually have spin. Like, some have atmospheres. Like, one's like almost a planet that you could like live on, you know? Like, they've talked about planet of Titan or the moon of Titan, which is like double the size of the moon and has like, I think, methane water.
That sounds
It's
bad.
like liquid methane.
Methane
they don't
is-
really. I think it's
deadly, right? I don't
Yeah,
know what methane
they
is,
kept
but, like,
saying we could go live there, and then I think they sent a probe there and realized that shit's like methane, and they're like, shit.
cancel that project.
Yeah, not to mention like really far away, it'll be like really cold. You know, like you get far away from the sun.
The moon is wonderful, and I want to talk about so many different aspects of this beautiful thing that gives us light at night.
Where should we start?
I don't know. The fact that it gives us light at night. How about that? Why?
It's bright.
It's so bright.
And
We were
like
talking about that the other night.
I meant to go look up the material
yeah.
that it has on the surface of it.
It's from Earth, right? Like it's an Earth material is what I heard. It's what
I don't know that answer actually. Okay, because I want to go look up what other moons have. What are they made of? Are they made of this dusty material that's like gray and like reflective and like shines brighter when it's like reflecting off the sun? Because that's really what it does, is that you're seeing the sun bouncing off the moon into us. And so like, are other moons so bright? Do they have that kind of material? I don't think they do. Most of them that I saw are like rocks or like planets. Because Jupiter is so fucking big
Jupiter is big.
that they can house a moon that's like a planet. You know? We can't do that.
Speaking of Jupiter, Planet X is even bigger than Jupiter. Planet X is apparently massive.
That
scale.
people say it's like a small dwarf, like a dead sun.
Jupiter?
No, Planet X.
Oh,
That it's so big it could possibly be a dead sun.
and I just saw
And that-
something else about them actually like getting hard. We were just talking about it, right?
We were.
And I just saw something a couple of days ago about them saying that they have more evidence and proof of its existence. And I was like,
they're seeing some. See, that's the only thing that would make sense towards why we can't see it. It would be a black dead object roaming through,
and it's just like
you know, there would be nothing, and it would just be in the blackness of shit. Now you would be able to see its gravitational pull upon shit. That's where the manipulation would see. It's like we could maybe see some evidence of like things being pulled from it because it's so fucking big.
Massive.
I don't know. That's a fun theory, though. I do like that one.
So, what are some of the fringe theories about the moon that we've heard? What?
You know, it's like I break this almost down into like 2 aspects, maybe 3. There's like this whole mathematical aspect to it, like universal mathematics, sacred geometry, Sumerian base 60 math. There's all of that going on with it, right?
Yeah.
And then there's like the historical side of it. I guess I would almost go like you probably start looking at the phenomenons, the crater depths, the things like that. Those are like phenomenons. Like the diameter matching the sun and speed of light and all that shit. That's not a phenomenon per se in my head. That's like a design. That's like a universal design more than anything. Someone designed it that way. That shit doesn't just fucking happen, okay? And then at that point, it's like, there's the mass side of this, and then there's like the phenomenon of like physical things about it that are like, we don't know how to explain those physical things about it. You know, like we can kind of explain the math because it's just math, but why craters never go deeper than 6 kilometers, period, even when the math says they should. That's a phenomenon, dude. We don't know how to explain. That's like literally, NASA said that.
Which puts it at there being something under the crust, blocking it from going that deep. I would assume there's a theory out there that says that the moon's gravitational pull is why it doesn't go further than 6 kilometers. I would assume they say something along the lines of, I don't know. It's just
it's funny. I've never had actually heard a good excuse for this one. Instead, they ignore it.
And there you go. There's your answer.
They really just try to ignore this shit.
It's like, there's not an answer for it, so why even try? It's like, we
really don't know, you know? And it's like, my best theory on the whole thing is like, that thing is hollow. It's probably livable. It's some kind of spaceship livable habitat. I don't fucking know, man. I don't know that much. I just know that people probably living in that thing.
Well, to get down and dirty with it, my thought process on the whole moon, how it got here, where it's from, how it became, and if it is livable, is that it came here long time ago.
So it's like a ship they brought here.
It's a movable ship. The question is,
there's nothing wrong with
that. Was the crust already a part of it when it got here, or did they build the outer skeleton around it with our materials from Earth so that when we did go test it, we were like, oh, yeah, that's our materials. That's fine. It's from Earth.
How do we know? I need to look up. How do we know it's from Earth? If all materials come from all the universe, everything on Earth came from every other meteor out there.
Rock from Earth or some kind of material that
it's got to be very specifically to Earth. But even then, I would say, how could you know?
They
how
had
the fuck do we know that it's only on Earth?
Brought back, but how?
What have we gone out there and like gotten a bunch of shit run on? Like we don't know. I have a problem with it. Not what you're saying, more the science side of like these people just make shit up.
No, they totally do. Again, we always come back to they make things up to have an answer. In some way, form, or fashion.
Yeah.
So what don't you think? What don't you think is possible? Like I don't know if they actually know if the material that it's made out of is.
It could be.
Earth,
it could be.
They say it is.
Yeah, that's fair.
They say it is from, and that's how they got the idea. I guess it's how they got the idea. That wouldn't have been able to form until we sent either a droid. What are those things called that go into space and go onto planets? A rover.
A rover, probe, rover.
Something to bring back material from that source, from that surface. And then they can test it here.
Correct.
So they tested it against materials and things that we have here. And then they came up with the idea that it came from
And that's fine. I'm going to go look more into that one, because I just want to know, now that I know as much as I do about like the geology of some of these rocks and shit going on. And I'm like, okay, hold on here. It's like carbon-14 dating. You can carbon date a biological thing, something that's like, I don't know, like a fossil or something like that. It was a living thing. You can carbon date that and say like, oh shit, that's like 40,000 years old. Like we know that because we know the rate at which carbon-14 decays. We can see how much it decayed, and then we can correlate, okay, well then minus that or whatever, the math. And yeah. Okay, so rocks don't have that. They have no way of acknowledging where they've come from to a certain degree. For example, an erratic. How do you know where the erratic came from? Oh, it's granite. It came from that granite mountain over there. It was just because that was the fucking closest granite mountain.
Right.
And it's like the same looking granite. Like when they match that granite with this one, it's like, oh, like their material is like super identical. They're only 100 miles apart. I get that.
Yeah.
This one, it could be where the makeup is like so similar. At the same time, I think like that thing's been housed by like meteors for how long? And it's like, where do you find that gray reflective material? Shit, dude. I don't know. It was like fine powder at times, dude.
Literally.
It's weird looking, man.
That's what moon dust is. They call
like
it moon dust for a
moon
reason.
dust and moon rocks and moon
different.
dust.
Interesting.
Yeah.
But also, if it was a spaceship, do you think it could travel with its surface level crust with the moon dust?
For sure.
Do you think it could travel through space and especially hyperspeed? I would assume it has some kind of either teleportation device where it just goes and it's wherever it needs to be, or it travels through space versus like, folding space in on itself and just like going through that portal. It either does that or it literally travels through the space.
So one, we're already traveling through space. So you already answered that one. You're just saying faster.
Yes.
You're just saying faster.
From one solar system to the next or from one galaxy to
And like
the next,
I'm talking about physically just like we're doing right now, we're just traveling to another place. Like
that's our whole solar system.
Everything's just kind of moving. So like that's I guess kind of the way I see it. Like maybe if you sped it up, shit may get weird. Okay. But well, number two would be more realistically would be a wormhole.
Yeah.
You would just
folding space, right? Like so space is here, and then you do.
The way I see it is like
just going through this.
You create a magnet between the 2 points, where you have now a funnel.
Is that a black hole?
That's what a black hole is to me. That's the best evidence of a black hole to me, especially when you look at the magnet and everything like that on the viewer. You see the definition of a black hole, and a black hole has another side. They claim everything about a black hole is like a magnetic. That's a magnetic situation. And you can go down the idea of like, well, how do magnets attract each other then? That was what really never made sense to me. It's like I kept trying to figure out how magnets actually attract. Like, do particles come out of the magnet and grab shit?
Definitely.
And
like little hands. They're like,
And then like, no, I don't like you. I'm pushing you away now.
Yeah, it's like,
No. We're just shooting particles out at you. Like, that's the way I started seeing it. And I was like, okay.
That's fair, yeah.
Guys, this is moronic.
That is exactly what
But that's what you wanted me to think, because you said everything's a particle. Everything's a fucking particle. And we have these magnetic particle alignments where all the electrons align perfectly. And then it's like, dude, what does the alignment have to do with it attracting something? They just align and they create this field. What's the field? It's a vector space. They just start naming random mathematical words until you shut the fuck up. It's like, how many fucking PhD words do I gotta tell you until you stop?
Is that why all the words on food items and cereal and stuff, normal people can't read?
Yes. Well, for
none of us
sure,
can
this is
read
what's
any of
going
that
on
stuff.
under the hood. Yes.
We're like, dude, what is that?
It's on purpose.
That word does not exist.
They muddy the waters. That's what they do.
They're like, it's edible, man.
And the moon is another thing to me that they have just muddied the waters on.
Very much so.
They have, or they just don't talk about it.
I want to talk about the fact that we have or have not been to the moon yet. And if we have,
You want to go down that road
moon,
first?
I don't see a better place to start.
I'm going to be honest with you. I can see a lot of reasons why we have never been.
I can see a lot of reasons why we have been and just haven't actually seen the real footage of us going.
Yes. Maybe it's we didn't go how we thought we did.
I think that's more of the route because I think I don't know. It's so hard to tell, though. It depends on if you believe that the Earth is round or flat.
Well, can we break out of the damn glass bubble thing and get into the water?
No, we need Kubrick to film something just in case we can't make it.
Kubrick, you bastard.
Well, that's how do you think he made his filmmaking breakthrough?
Well, hey, look, man,
You gotta get it somewhere.
It does get weird, you know. And people are like, "How could you have faked it? There were so many people. It wouldn't be that hard." You tell
Hollywood's Hollywood for a reason. They're good at this.
You tell everybody working on every part of that thing that what they're doing is legit. The rocket parts. Think about it. There's like 100,000 people that have to work on all the different components and pieces and all the stuff going into building these rockets and these landers and these orbitals and the computer systems and all the shit that goes into this. I mean, this is literally 100,000 people, I think, worked on this whole thing.
And then a rocket actually took off.
And then a rocket takes off.
Yes.
This is all real. I don't think any of that's crazy. I think you tell everybody exactly what they were doing. Like, hey, yeah, this is what we're doing, blah, 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 blah. Then there's a select few that actually know what's going on. They said it. They say it all the time. CIA says it all the time. Compartmentalize. And you only let people know what they need to know.
Exactly. And the ones that knew everything, they knew if they spilt any kind of bean whatsoever, whether it be kidney, black, soy, whatever, you no longer and your family no longer. And that's that. And they're like, why'd you tell me about this? I didn't want to be a part of this. I mean, literally.
I'm pretty sure they all died.
You threaten a family, they'll do anything. Or they'll just do it because they want to do it. Like, especially back then, the idea of like, especially if they got a message from the moon, if they got some transmission of some sort of...
Okay, here's the problem though. I don't think we had the technology to go in the way that we said we could go.
Didn't you say Nikola Tesla got some kind of transmission of how to build his, what is it called? What if he dialed into the moon's frequency and started talking to those beings? He said Mars. I wonder how he knew. I wonder if those beings that live in the crust on Mars told him about it.
I don't know. But they essentially ran his name into the ground because of that one. But he claimed that he was pointing and receiving from Mars. And that's when you stopped hearing about his fucking ass. That's about the time you just don't hear from him anymore. And everybody turns on him. J.P. Morgan and Edison, all these people, they're all ixnay on the Tesla nay. Because Tesla worked for Edison originally. He started with Edison and then went off on his own. So they knew each other clearly. He worked for him.
Yep.
You know, like he came to America to work for Edison.
Where was he from?
Fucking Austria? Huh. Czechoslovakia or some shit. Shit, where was it?
Czech Republic?
Czech Republic. It's whatever was around, though, at the same time in like 1850, you know, like we're talking about a long time ago. A lot of wars have happened. A
little bit.
You know, it was probably like the Hungarian territory, you know, Austria-Hungary. I think it was actually Austria-Hungary. I think that's really where it was.
So if he didn't get a transmission from the moon and was actually talking to Mars, perhaps they figured that out and then started messing around with it and got a transmission.
He would have been
the moon or something.
Think about it this way though.
After they had him,
all the electromagnetic waves we work with, Wi-Fi, radio, all this shit. He was the first.
Bizarre. So long ago.
He was the first. So then he would have been anybody at that point noticing him doing that probably would have talked to him. If I'm an alien smart being and I'm like, oh shit, dude, look, they got one of these fucking human beings that's smart enough to pull this shit off, dude.
One of them out of...
Yo, send him a message. Let's really fuck with this dude. Send his ass a message.
Literally. Well, not only a message, but a whole idea of like how to build certain things.
Yeah, apparently they were telling him how to build shit.
Exactly. Yeah. If like what was their goal?
Now,
why were they trying to get him to build free energy source?
Here's a part of this that we need to get into that I think will deeply resonate with you.
Okay.
He became very spiritual.
No way. After or before?
This was during the end more kind of... He grew more spiritual. Some claim that he became Muslim, but a lot of the way he talked was like almost like I'm going to tell you it came through electromagnetic waves. But I think he was in tune with something deeper at times when I read through a lot of the shit he taught. I've read a lot of Tesla, dude. I'm sure.
He's
that fucking guy's fascinating.
Great read.
And that I'm like, this guy I think was in tune because he was the first then to discover ether waves, like 0-point energy, that the waves were just there always. He made patents for this shit, okay? He'd already discovered this, yet he gets no credit for it whatsoever. He also said that he claimed everything Einstein and like Niels Bohr and those guys were all claiming. He claimed that shit first. And yet they won like Nobel Prizes for that shit. And so like, I think he was becoming more and more spiritual because I think he was becoming more and more in tune with shit.
Yeah.
And he was understanding things and he was being told something. I think he was getting information that was then, and so they won't let you know about it. Let's put it that way. Because by the time he was really going down that road, ixnay on Tesla. We're not gonna, so you don't know much.
He was dangerous. He was dangerous to be alive. He was dangerous to be running amok about how much he knew and how beings were already talking to him.
Correct.
They're like, this, no, we cannot have this.
How much of this is the moon isn't already vibrating a frequency out there as a giant antenna all the time? And you really wouldn't know it because it's so fucking large that it will cover such a massive area that there's nothing you could really do about it or know. It's just there.
It's just there.
You would just think of it as just being there. And so, like, I've always looked at the moon as a satellite, which means a lot of different things. You could live on it. You could fly around in it. You could communicate from it. Like, there's a lot of things you could do with this thing at that point, you know?
I would assume it's a multifaceted
Yeah, dude. There's no way you build something
station.
That big.
Right.
There's no way. Just to stabilize the planet, and that's it? Because I do believe the moon is there to stabilize our planet.
Interesting.
Now, I think it was a massive part of that. And it's like a combo of we build our shit this way anyways, because when we go somewhere, we can just do this. Like,
right.
They just build to the universe.
I just had a thought happen inside of me.
Ooh, I love it.
We were talking about...
You don't have many thoughts, so I like this.
We were talking about the arcs the other day, remember?
Yes.
What if the moon is one of them? If not like a massive version of it. Like
arc.
What if they're right?
It's the arc of arcs.
Like it's a stabilizer, but also
I've always thought that when we ascend during the cataclysm, or whoever were to ascend, kind of a thing, they go to the moon.
I mean,
or what if that's like their temporary spot before the next place?
So we don't just ascend to the moon. We get taken by other crafts around the planet.
That's really what I mean. That's actually what I mean.
Dock at the moon, and that becomes...
We get in spaceships, and we are traveling and taken to the moon as a temporary holding place before the next place, which could be Mars, could be back to the planet. I don't really know after that.
If it is a space station, which I'm fully behind the fact that there are beings that live there. Yeah, like...
Beam me up, Scotty. Boop.
I mean, honestly, right. I would assume that technology...
Now that I think about it, I'm like, why are
too.
we so archaic with our technology of aliens and space or whatever? Even though I don't think they're aliens, but you get the point. Is like, they probably would just teleport our ass, because I actually do believe teleportation is absolutely possible.
Through the ether, just
bloop, done.
Yeah.
I mean, entanglement proves it, actually. So we'll talk about that another time.
That would explain the rapture idea behind everyone just like, pew, 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 pew.
Yes, correct.
And all your clothes fall into the ground.
Yes.
Sexual.
Yeah. Everything about that story from the Bible actually just like total cataclysm.
It is.
All of it's just total cataclysm.
Hands down.
All of it. From like people going crazy.
Your mind a little bit, you're like, oh my God, that entire story is literally a chasmalytic thing that's going to happen and has happened multiple times.
They have been trying to tell us this. It's a story for us to warn us. But and I do think that the moon actually plays a part of that, because I think the moon came in at a time where they were like, this thing's having cataclysms all the time. Holy shit.
Yeah, we got to calm it down.
We
got to calm it down.
How much of the moon was already designed that way versus how much does it play the role because it can? I don't know, but like, I know the moon does play that role, or else Earth would not be as inhabitable as it is today.
I mean, I bet the tsunamis were off the chain back then too. Like before the moon was here.
I just see that thing like wobbling like a
literally
drunk bitch, dude. Just going fucking nuts, man. And then you just got like swashing that water back and forth like that. Yeah, you got like mile-high tsunamis and like the lava underneath is like pouring out all the time.
Yeah,
and shit.
imagine being a
Fuck that, dude. I don't want to be on this planet. Give me that moon back.
imagine having a dairy allergy and eating a tub of ice cream. That's probably what the moon was up to. Like, imagine your little gut just being like, that's how the Earth was back then. It was just shaking all about and stuff. Yeah, that's my imaginary.
Which plus there are ancient cultures who have mentioned in their writings, of course these are all fake and just fairy tales and stuff,
Always is.
but they have said that the moon actually was not here pre 12,000 years ago, pre 30,000 range, you know, like,
And then you have people talking like that, and it's like, wait, why would you even say that? Why would that even be?
and the same said that it
Excuse
was
me?
brought here. So, you know, like,
again, fully behind the idea that the moon was brought here and the pyramids. I had another thought. I saw
I think it's all cool.
I had an AI image of
okay.
the pyramids coming down with thrusters underneath them. And I was like, oh my God. That could totally be a thing if the moon or if the pyramids were even spaceships on their own. Like the
That's
moon
what they
came
say a lot
here
of-
and the pyramids came here and then they had to into the ground with their little spiral things to really harness the energy down there. What if they're all just freaking ships? What if those are the arcs? What, like, that picture unlocked so many crazy conspiracies in my head. I was like, oh my God, stop it.
yeah, and we know that there were casing stones around the pyramids.
They weren't built here. They were brought here, and if they were built here, they were not.
Well, here's the thing, though, is that they most likely were built here. And the reason why is because we do find the quarries for the limestone and the granite.
all the materials that it takes to build it. Right?
They look like they were mined here. I mean, that's why I'm finding all these quarries all over the fucking world.
I wonder what are the things in the ground called? What are we calling them?
I'm calling them coils. I don't really know what to call them.
I wonder what the coils are made out of. I wonder if they actually are made from this planet, or
From what I understand, the best theory, no one actually knows. Okay, and this is all still theoretical.
all of it. Isn't the entire idea of it? No, it's not theoretical anymore. That there's something underneath.
No,
it,
there's
right?
something underneath. We know that. It's
That's factual, right?
That's factual. How deep, what it is, that's all unknown to a certain degree. Okay,
the other side of the planet.
because like even the new technology that they're using can only give you one view. So every view you see online is actually a 3D doctored image of it to make it look from another angle, but you can't see it from that angle. That's not how that shit works. You know, like you're coming from straight down. They can just see how far around things go down versus that area and blah, blah, blah. And they come at angles and shit like that. And they can get a general idea, but they seem to see poles or something kind of cylinder. And I would say that it seems to me like they took... Like, you look at Tesla. Tesla went and studied the pyramids, you know, and
He even drove something into the ground.
He
Went into the ground with his design.
He went, actually,
How did he know how did he know he needed to go in the ground? Because he was told that it needed to go in the ground.
Yeah, that part really kind of weirds me out. It's like, how did he know some of this stuff? Even if he went to the pyramids, I've read people who went there long before you did, many more times, and never fucking came to any of these goddamn conclusions or found any evidence of this shit. And you walk in there by yourself with nobody to help you, and you're like, yeah, shit's going on the ground.
Just mapping it all out. You're like, yes,
Now, granted, he probably did because he was fucking being told while he was there, and he probably was like, oh shit. Yeah, I guess
You think he built a device that could go in his ear and he could communicate with whoever he was communicating?
Well, the thing is that they say that at the pyramid, the energy level there, they have like imaging of this going on. Yeah, there's like images of like fucking rays of energy coming out of the top of it if you catch it at like random times.
That's
and
sexy.
Like, yeah, it's wild, some of the images that come out of it. I think he was already in tune. Go there, go into a heightened place of energy, and you get more. Not to mention, I think he was already finding evidence of this on his own experimentation. The things needed to go underground. So then he then went that road of like, okay, I'm going to go there and just see how they built it. Okay, this makes... All of the top part makes so much sense that the underground had to then be the way he saw it. Does that make sense?
So are you saying that he already knew what he needed to do, but he wanted to go? So he got the information, right? He had all the information.
Yeah, he already knew
solidified
this.
it.
Yeah, I think he already.
He was like, okay, let me put my eyes on what you're talking about.
Because first off, we already know that he was already lighting light bulbs in the ground like miles away before he went over there. And he was able to do that because he was able to create a antenna system in the air and in the ground at some equal length of each other. And then he goes over there to Egypt and comes back pretty much a spiritual person. Okay?
Really?
And builds specifications of like Wardenclyffe and all this shit, or like, dude, it's an 8-sided pyramid. No one like thinks about this, but it's an 8-sided pyramid.
No one does until we saw it from above.
The top of it, a toroidal donut.
Where?
On the top of that damn thing. It looks like a dome. He's got a toroidal donut built on that fucking thing.
Yeah.
And so like, what did I say about taking like a gold liquid and putting it into a toroidal donut and shit?
That it's sexy and hot.
So like he knew shit. Okay,
Yeah, he did.
I don't know how. It's like, are the people? Oh my god, that's hilarious.
Let's
dude.
hear it. I love it.
I was just thinking in my head, like, what if they were in the moon watching down and being like, yo, we need to tell that person, or like blah blah blah. They're kind of directing things from the moon, right? The Truman Show.
Yeah. Yeah.
They are in the moon.
Are they in the moon?
Literally in the sun. It's like kind of the both the same or whatever. But like
it may be the moon.
No, they're in the moon.
Yeah.
They are fucking in the moon. They show him like standing in the moon window in the moon, like looking down upon the city. And I'm like, in my head, I'm thinking, son of a bitch, what did they know? Fucking what did they know?
I wonder what Jim Carrey knows.
Jim
Probably
Carrey knows some shit.
We had that convo about Jim, and I'm pretty sure he's got some.
All right, we got to get back to the moon.
How do we get there? Do we build a space station, or do we ask it to come closer so we can fly?
How much money do we have?
I got some 3 in my piggy bank.
Oh, we're fucked.
Oh.
We ain't got nothing.
That's fine.
Can we talk about the math?
I'm ready to hear the math on this moon, because
we just talk about some numbers here.
Everything that it lines up with. This also ties back into the pyramids as well.
It does.
And that's also why I feel like they came here at the same time. The moon and the pyramids are one. Not like one, but like they came as one because they needed each other. Balance. Let's hear it. Numbers.
I should let you have this and let people see this.
I'm down with
it's
that. Yeah.
Raw and all over the place as a journal, in a sense, so like a notebook, but like it kind of it breaks down this idea of, I started with the what is it, the zodiac signs.
Sure, yeah.
Okay, so that ends up becoming very important. The years of the zodiac signs are very important. They all have very specific dates to them. All right, and we'll get into that in a second. But then even that, the tilt of our wobble that the moon helps, that tilt is what designated all of our zodiac.
The tilt of it, huh?
The tilt is how we point, where we're facing. If we faced upward more, zodiac signs aren't the same. We go down a little bit more, zodiac signs aren't the same. We're facing a whole new set of constellations.
Right.
So those constellations are specific towards our tilt, which is stabilized by our moon. Weird, right? Then they have, all right, that's where I started, okay? Because then it goes into the Giza pyramids, then it goes into time and all of the kind of the moon and Space 60 math and shit. So they're all tied together. Like, I just naturally went down that road because I had to, So I guess we'll start off with my favorite one. We'll go back over it, okay? You have, should we start with doing it this way?
He's processing.
Hold on. I want to get this so I make sure I'm saying it right. I don't want anybody getting all, crazy.
They're already going to get all crazy.
It won't change.
Even if we spoke facts left and right, there would be people that are like, yeah, that's not real.
Yeah, because there's somewhere it
Can't
starts
be real.
with.
I'm like, bro.
I need to show where it starts with. Oh my
Factual.
God, this is taking a long time. All right, here we go. All right, so what we did here. Don't tell me that's not the one for real. Ultimately, how do we get to our time? Okay? This is all correlates. I know this gets weird, but this all correlates. How did we get to the time that we measure? How is 1 second to 1 second? How do you get to that, right? We broke down time into 3 different parts, all right? There is the time it takes our Earth to, the wobble to spin or whatever. There's like 3 levels of spin. All right. There's like the wobble spin of the planet of the top spinning. There's the actual spin of the planet. And then there's the orbit spin of the planet.
Yeah.
Okay. These all take specific times. All of those get calculated into how the math of time gets calculated down to 1 second, right? Which essentially was given to us. The Sumerians claim that they were given this knowledge of all of this through base 60 math. So then you have, just to go down to the time thing real quickly, you have essentially 60 seconds, base 60 math, which also 60, 33, 6, 9, 30, 60, 90, 90 degrees in a triangle and like square, and 360 degrees in a circle, and it's broken down into like different 60 degree. Like this is all goes into the shape of that, okay? But then you have the time of 60 seconds, 60 minutes, and then that's when it gets fun of 12 hours in a day is 432. 24 hours is 864. Now they may have zeros on the end of them, but I'm eliminating those right now for dramatic effect.
Right.
Okay. The sun, 864. Half of 864, 432. 432 times itself, a square root. It's a squared, I guess you would say. So 432 times 432 is the speed of light in, I'm pretty sure, feet. Half of that, 261. 2610 is the diameter of the moon. They all match between the planets, between time, degrees of shape. They're all base 60 right in our face. And we don't even pay attention to it.
Not even a little bit.
And you will find these, like 432 is our A note. That is our standard A note.
Yeah.
And you will see the other ones start to appear in that harmonic alignment. And then you have, we'll get into the sacred geometry of all the shapes having this to them. They all have degrees. Those degrees equal frequencies. Those frequencies equal sound.
Right.
And that, so 261, 261, 261. I keep getting the numbers mixed up. Too many numbers, all right? There has to be sound. There has to be meaning behind that. It's not just a diameter. It's not just a correlation with the sun. There's more to this. There's something there. So they're trying to tell us something with that to me. They're trying to say, hey, it's all related. Why would you bring that thing here and make it specifically the... I guess that kind of sells it for me, actually, in my head right now. It had to be made for us. If you made it anywhere else, the sun is unique in its size and its diameter.
And every sun is.
Every sun is. Therefore, if it's going to be completely aligned, and then distance-wise, it's exactly 4x away, 4 times the distance, which means now you get that perfect solar-lunar eclipse you like to see that totally does not exist anywhere else in the fucking solar system that we know of.
Really?
Nowhere.
That's special to us.
That's special to us. Tidal locking.
And when it happens, I'm over here sitting in my living room watching TV. Whoops.
Yo, I will say I've experienced a full solar lunar eclipse. That shit is wild. The birds start chirping. It starts feeling like nighttime and shit. Whoa. And it just looks cool, man. I have pictures of it. It is awesome. That shit's cool.
Yeah, I should experience them more.
And that to me is like, there's something to that. Like, they designed it this way.
Right.
And not only that, but like, we used to keep the most original time tracking was really lunar time for like long term. It's one thing to keep track of your day to day, but how do you know it's been a month?
Right. Yeah.
How do you know when the next season's going to arrive?
The moon tells you.
The moon will tell you.
The moon is, again, it's multifaceted, but it is a clock on its own.
It is a Swiss Army knife of universe. Yeah. You know, like that bitch is, and it gives us light. It's so reflective. Oh man, how lucky are we that it just gives us light at night? Like a ton, dude.
Yeah, well, we don't even think of it that way anymore because we have electricity. But 100 years ago,
that was crucial, man. That was crucial.
They couldn't see at night if it weren't for the moon. And new moons,
Yeah.
They couldn't see.
Yeah, you
New
can't see.
moons, the planet was pitch black.
Yeah, and they give you a little, hey, we're going to give you a little bit of black. Sure, we'll give you a little pitch black.
Gotta show you the darkness.
Yeah, a little bit of darkness in there, but we'll give you the light back too.
Whoever brought this moon to us and stabilized our planet really, really either needed us or loved us. One of the two.
They needed the planet.
They needed.
See, that's my thing. Is like I
with,
think we were after the moon. I think the moon was brought here, put here. They came down. They started settling, building out their infrastructure, and then made us.
But there's other beings that talk about the moon not existing prior to a certain
Correct.
period,
I think those were legends and stories passed down. Now they were and they're real. It's the same as how did the Chinese know to come over here? And how did they know that we had a Grand Canyon? How did they know that we were 3,000 miles in width? How do they know that the distance between China and America from how the fuck do they know this in 200 BC? This is before Jesus was born.
Yeah.
They had a map of this shit. How do they get? There's ancient.
How did they get here?
Ancient technology and ancient documentation has been lost to us, and I think that's a lot of where the Vatican comes in. I think the whole Roman Crusades and all that shit was really like, hey, yo, they got a lot of shit we need to go ahead and put under wraps. Because if that shit stays out, then everybody will know the truth. Right. But if we keep that shit put under wraps, kill all those people, we now win, and now we own everything, and now we can just narrate the whole story.
Create the entire narration.
I think there were, again, all the prophets, they just suddenly appear, and they have all this knowledge, and they're brilliant, and they have all this wonderful things they can do. Yeah, it's because they got that ancient fucking knowledge, man. We don't get it anymore because it's been wiped out.
Yep.
Or really it's been taken.
That's why the prophet idea doesn't exist the way it used to anymore. Prophets still exists, but not like they used to.
Because they can't at that level anymore.
Right, yeah. Because all of that stuff has been hidden in the Vatican.
Mm-hmm.
It's been destroyed or hidden. As much knowledge as possible, they have hidden and destroyed.
I think they said it was 50 miles of Vatican archive documents.
50 miles?
50
Put that in perspective.
If that's real, I hope that's not real, dude. I really hope that. I hope it's like 50 blocks, and even that, it's like, fuck, dude, 50 blocks is insane.
Miles.
But the Smithsonian has 157 or 158 million artifacts. That's insane. Where do you store that many artifacts, dude?
Where do you get that many artifacts?
Steal them, dude. You steal that shit.
They had an Indiana Jones on their side.
That's some. Yeah, his name was G.E. Kincaid. We'll get to that story later. Back to the moon. All right, so let's go. Hold on, let me go. God, dude, that was really good.
So basically, what you're saying is all the numbers about everything either multiply or line up with some other number. With the moon, sun, earth, all of it is just aligned, basically.
Correct. You're going to see these numbers appear over and over again. Like you'll see them come up in feet. This is why the metrics...
Does one of those numbers have to do with 3, 6, and 9?
9? No.
Oh, well.
No, not at all. No, that's the crazy part about it, as well as most all of these numbers, that if you were to add them up individually, like if the number is 261, then you would say 2 plus 6, which is what, 8 plus 1, 9? 9? Oh,
9.
Wow. How did it equal 9?
Crazy.
What? That's nuts.
Let's hear another one.
Oh, 864?
Yeah.
So what, 8 plus 6, what is that, 14 plus 4, you got 18, 8 plus 1, 9? What?
Weird. That's just
they
a
all
coincidence.
Do this. No, they all do this, dude.
It's a coincidence
I
that
have
every
gone
single
through,
one equal either 3, 6, or 9.
Dude, I have gone through and I've literally circled them.
No, literally circled them.
I literally went through and circled it and did the math for all of these as I went through the Great Pyramid's dimensions by the base circumference divides into a base. I got to go back through the latitude of the pyramid, the full cycle of the pyramid. Like all of these come out to 369.
All of them.
All of them. All sacred numbers come down to 369. This is why Nikola Tesla said 369.
The key to the universe or something? What did he say?
God, there was I forgot exactly the quote, because I think that he said the key to the universe was vibration, resonance, and like energy or something like that.
Probably, I bet each one of those equal 3, 6, or 9 too.
But he heavily talks about 3, 6, and 9. Well, yeah, they all definitely do, for sure. They all... all of them seem to equal 3, 6, or 9 at a base level. Why they do this, we don't really know. Like, I don't know. I can't tell you. There's nobody out there who even, like, really correlates a lot of this shit right now. So it's hard to do. Like, Randall Carlson is probably one of the best out there. He has done a lot of math on this. Like, a lot of the stuff that I got is I went through a lot of his videos and started combining it together to try to understand what he was seeing, and then I started correlating from there.
Can we link Randall Carlson below?
Oh, please.
Cool.
I think Randall Carlson does a great job.
Cool.
At not only he introduced me to the erratics for the big boulders that just show up out of nowhere and we don't know how they got there, and cataclysm. He helped me understand a lot of geology, actually. And then he came to the realization that the geology and the math and the universe was all correlating. He started coming to these conclusions. And so that's how I found him, was on this journey. I started realizing, like, oh shit, dude, he's done a lot of this. So then I started taking from him and putting it into perspective of this. And you'll see 432 like fucking everywhere. You'll see 432 in every culture. Like the Buddhist.
It's an important number.
The Muslims, the Christians, the fucking Chinese. I don't give a shit, dude. They all talk about this number.
369 and 432 are probably the two most important synchronicity numbers.
Yes.
They're very...
And that's my question, though, is like 3, 6, and 9 are like individually their own thing.
And then together.
I no longer combine them anymore.
They're both individually and combined important.
See, I like in my, I'm not saying you're wrong by any means, and I couldn't know it anyway, so it wouldn't be irrelevant. But like in my head, I think like everything keeps coming down to a 3, a 6, or a 9. Why separate? What? I think they're linked, but I don't think the number, I guess here's my problem. They're sacred numbers. And if you start saying 369, are we saying that number 369? 369?
Like
is that a sacred number? I look at, and it could be. Shit, I don't know. I'm just asking the questions, dude.
Did you add 369 up?
I'm pretty sure it equals up to one of them.
Probably does. But I can't imagine it doesn't.
9, yeah, it's size 18 plus 1, 9. Yeah, so it's 9.
9 is completion.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, it is.
Number of completion.
Yes.
Someone said, no, 10 is completion. And I was like...
I've always... No, that doesn't work. That actually just doesn't work.
Like, they said it, and it broke my brain. I was like, it doesn't.
Yeah,
like... Like at all.
Like besides the fact that it's like 2 digits now.
Exactly.
So like you're reusing digits.
You're starting over.
And 0, I don't think really actually exists. Like nothing is nothing. We're just using it as a placeholder. We do it all the time. It's why all these sacred numbers have a bunch of zeros behind them, is because zeros are placeholders. They're not really a number.
Yeah. They
increase or decrease frequency. That's it.
Yeah. Literally.
So if you have 369 and then you add 3690, that's just a different frequency of the same damn thing. You're just increasing the amount of it. That's it.
Literally.
You know, so like that's all a 0 is just a placeholder for that shit. You know, so all these numbers across the board correlate. You know, and so like when you have random shit, like the years of one of the zodiac signs ends up being, you know, like, God, what's there was one that was 43,200. That one shows up all the time. And that's our astronomical time cycle. So I think that's like a bunch of them, all of them. That's where I need to go back into like understanding what all these great years and zodiac signs mean. They're all of them are heavily sacred geometry, which then is turned around. The moon is built into that for some reason. And I've never been able to figure out why. Why is that in there?
Why do you think? Do you have any ideas?
I really don't, dude. Sacred geometry is the one thing that puzzles me the most now. It used to be electricity.
I was about to say electricity.
It used to be electricity. I don't think it is anymore, actually. I think I'm at a point where I feel like I'm comfortable enough there, and this one's the one that's like the most puzzling to me now, where it's like, dude, I really don't know.
Yeah.
You know, that's like how electricity was for me for a long time. I was like, I just don't know. I can tell you a lot about it. I just don't fucking know. And that's where I am now. Now I feel like I do know. I could be wrong, but I feel like I do know over there. With this one, I'm like back at that same spot where it's like, dude, I can tell you a lot about it. I just don't fucking get it yet. It's everywhere. It's the smallest to the largest, man.
Right. I mean, literally everywhere. And I think you'll get there sooner than later, probably, especially with the amount that we talk about it.
Yeah, I'll force it eventually.
Dive deep down it.
Well, I think cymatics plays a role in this. I think that's where the universal language comes in. I'd go back to even the crop circles suddenly start to have meaning to them when you start looking at it this way.
They probably have numbers assigned to them and stuff like that.
Every number has a shape. Every shape has a sound. They all is one is all.
I bet crop circles, the real ones, are some kind of frequency number that if you found that cymatic pattern, it almost like has a message behind them if you played them all in the same, like in a row or
so
something.
We know that Sanskrit or some of these ancient languages were sacred sounds. So the letters themselves were sacred sounds.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Ours are not. English is not. Not even close.
Didn't you say something about English?
Is the opposite of this. Yes. We had languages that were sacred to this. So that when you did sing things and say things, they
resonated and vibrated at certain frequencies.
Correct. This would have been a world for you, man. That would have been a world for you.
It's okay. I lived in that world at one point.
Well, I think that's why you're not there, is that your journey is here to get us back there.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like you're trying to set us spiritually free. I'm trying to set us technologically free.
Be free.
Freedom. You know, so like
I agree.
I don't know. That's we can go down that road forever.
An infinite road.
Let's go down the phenomenons.
Sure. Yeah.
Do you have it? What do you got?
I don't know. What's a phenomenon? Let's talk about the dark side of the moon then. Is that a phenomenon?
I guess it's part of the phenomenon that thing is title locked to us. So we get to have...
It's just weird.
Yeah, it's just weird, dude.
I mean, there's still so many things we need to talk about the moon, like the fact that NASA...
Yeah, these are all the phenomenons to me. It's like the physical, like we're out of the math, we're out of the numbers, we're out of the weird spiritual shit in that sense, right? We then go into like the physical, observable phenomenons that we cannot explain. So starting with no meteor can hit the moon and go past a depth of 6 kilometers. Even if the math says it should, it will not. There is a barrier.
Yeah, which, as we've already discussed, is a space station of sorts and probably has some kind of metallic
shell.
No idea what that shell is made of, but imagine a metallic shell with dust layered upon it. Hey, kilometers? How big is a kilometer? How deep is 6?
That's like 3 or 4 miles.
So it has a pretty thick crust on it.
Yeah, it's deep. It's got. Look, man,
it's impressive.
You want to take on a meteor and have it bounce the fuck off? Like, I don't know what you made that shit of, dude, but that thing's crazy as fuck.
What would do that? Titanium, gold? Could it be gold?
Yeah, for sure. No, I don't think we even. It's like something we don't understand.
Yeah, a material we haven't.
Yeah, because like even when the Roswell accident happened, the guy who was owner of the land in a interview said it's nothing like I've ever seen before. The material.
Roswell. What are you talking about? What happened?
You never heard of the 1947 Roswell incident?
I mean, probably, but I don't know what you're talking about.
There was a spaceship that landed, or not landed, it crashed.
Yeah.
Crash landed.
Is that J-Rod?
And that's J-Rod.
Okay.
Yes. Presumably J-Rod.
Okay.
And they claimed that it was a weather. Now, first off, the army, the military themselves said, we have a spaceship. It landed. And then the next day or two, they then came back out and retracted that and said, no, it was a weather balloon.
Yeah.
And they showed some aluminum foil.
Wait.
Yeah. Like, they just showed like a bunch of sticks and aluminum foil and a picture and everybody.
After they were able to set up the crime scene.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. This is. Well, the person who found it came out years later and said, the material that I found could be bent at times, but would go back to its normal shape and strong enough that like a sledgehammer would just bounce off that shit.
Okay, so it had organic material to it,
it could mold, but be.
But that's also what the spaceships are made out of too. All these ships that we're seeing in the skies and stuff, it's the same material they're made out of.
Yeah,
because they get to morph in shape. It's an. I don't know what kind of material that would be, but it definitely has the ability to shape shift. And it's crazy that it's that strong of a material that
it's got to have like a memory to it. But because like alchemy, we could look, man. You get down to like the quantum physical level of all of this. Well, then you could turn anything into anything. Alchemy is absolutely a thing. Like anybody who says it's not, sit down with me and I will go over how I believe that shit is absolutely fucking possible. You know, you just may not be seeing it the way I'm seeing it in a sense. It rings like a bell. This one's interesting to me because NASA, when they went there and they quote unquote, they took off from the moon, okay, with the lunar shit. I forgot what they call that damn thing. Anyways, they put down a seismic like seismograph or something to meter the seismic activity after they were to take off.
Yeah.
When they took off, the damn thing rang like a bell for hours. Hours. They, from like end to end, like it was hollow. And that's why the whole idea of like it being a hollow thing is, and they even say that like the more they kind of experimented with this, they started realizing there was like cavities. So like the vibrational signals, the seismic activity would travel faster and slower based on the cavities. So clearly there was areas of more dense material and areas of opened up materials. And so they started to realize there's like internal structuring to this thing.
And not just hollow throughout, right?
Correct. Yeah. Right. Yeah. And so like it keeps going down that road of like, well, first off, if there is some metallic structure casing around it, it would probably ring and be strong enough for a meteor. And could be probably reflective even because we even see like blue luminescent reflections coming off of it at random times. Like normal people in their backyard see this shit.
Oh, really?
With their telescopes and shit. They'll see some like really bright one. It's really weird looking. It's like, where does that come from?
I mean, I would assume that doesn't have anything to do about what you were just talking about, but the material that rings, whatever that material is probably the same thing as the spaceships that fly around. The material that we found, it is the same material in my opinion, which means that space station, the moon could shapeshift if it wanted to.
Yeah, and you know, like I think about this, and I've looked at the ancient stones that they use for like the pyramids. When you really like sit there and try to like grasp how they've done this, and you like really go through them, it's unworldly. And I really start to think to myself, I'm going to correlate these two together in my head. I think they were able to, I don't know, put a charge into the metal and then it can like mold into what they want. Like, I don't know what they do. Okay. Just making shit up. I think you could do the same idea with the stone. You could kind of liquefy it, but a structured plasma liquid that's not like, you know, it's like stay shape, but you could mold it. And that's the only way I can ever comprehend what I see. When I look at those megalithic stones and how they're built together, nothing else makes sense than you superheated them. They became soft and malleable. And then you molded these bitches together by putting them together. And then we look at them and we're like, dude, look at the way they cut those things. Perfection. You ain't cut those bitches. There's no way you could design one of those things pre-cut.
But what about the quarries where we find them? Don't they come out?
Those are for the standards. There's two different kinds of megalithic stones to me. There's the standard block that we see for a pyramid, and then there is the megalithic walls that we're starting to find that people have just been building on top of, and we've kind of been ignoring them, but they're all over the fucking world, and we're finding them all over. They're giant, and they're like interlocked as Legos. And like some of them are like 12 feet tall, like 1,000 tons. Some are giant blocks, but then like a bunch of other ones built around it. And they're like, some are like curled into other ones.
Yeah, right.
You know?
Earthquake proof
and like,
right there.
Some are like bigger on one side and like mold into the other one. And then they like kind of like do this weird like moldy thing together and they like form this weird shape. And it's like, there's no way you could have pre-designed this. And like, hey, I need you to cut me a rock that does this and then a rock that does that. And then we're just gonna like put all thousands of them all together and they're all like 1,000 tons each. And like, no, you just grab some fucking rock, you come over here and you just place it there and mold it in, and then you just mold it in, and then you just mold it in. They just mold that way. That's the only way it makes sense to me.
Do you think they could manipulate the texture or the density of a material by frequency, like you were saying, by sound?
I think it could
be a device that manipulates a frequency and then turns the frequency to what the shape they need, and then boom, you have it.
There's two kinds of vibrations that run the whole
Not
world.
only that, but that frequency could also probably lift that rock and carry it to wherever.
There's two different vibrations going on there.
Which
One's
would explain why things can be made without, like the vases, why they're just shaped. They were not built; they were shaped.
Yeah, because they're all one piece.
By the frequency.
They're just one piece.
The frequency shaped.
Now, we do see evidence of a kind of a circular thing going on around some rocks and some stones, and some we don't.
Interesting.
And so it looks, and we've seen even cylindrical, like someone
the drill
dug
hole
like a drill
almost,
hole.
right?
But that is primitive
What'd
to
they
the
use?
shit I've seen also. Like the whole idea of drilling with some of these guys, with some of these, those fuckers didn't drill, dude. No, that big fucker over in, God, what is that? The stone of the pregnant woman. It's like 1,500 tons. Go look at it and tell me that they chiseled or sawed it or screwed whatever. No, dude, no. They fucking like plasma shit melted through it. It's like they scooped it. But when they look at the scooping, it's like a soft, smooth scooping.
If you could,
dude, it's wild.
if you could manipulate a frequency into a shape, then perhaps the frequency could do the scooping. And I don't know.
See, all right, so there's two kinds of vibrations that run the universe.
Okay, let's hear them.
There's and God says it in the Bible.
No, really. Do we have a verse, a chapter, a page, or whatever?
It's the very first lines of the very first page.
Whoa. Was that Genesis?
Yes.
Yeah.
And he says something along the lines of, God spoke, let there be light, and gave us light. But he spoke
Vibration.
sound, and gave us light. What's light? Electromagnetic frequency waves. So it's waves through the ether. They vibrate the ether. Something has to vibrate, right? Some material has to be vibrating for a vibration or a frequency to take place. So something has to be vibrating in the ether. That's electromagnetic waves. That's the light, radio, Wi-Fi, blah, blah, blah. Then there's sound waves. We call them mechanical waves. They are waves that are going through a physical material. So sound waves can't happen in vacuum because there's not enough particles, material between things. It really is like that empty that there's like only electromagnetic waves going on. And they can't do that because it's not an ether wave. It's a physical 3D wave.
Okay.
So at that point, you could take this and you could start finding the vibration of a rock with its natural vibrating standpoint. Everything's got a natural vibrating point. The Earth has it too. Earth is like 7.8 something hertz, right?
Yeah.
They all have their own natural resonance. And so you find that resonance, and now you can start manipulating it if you were to inject it into the rock. If you wanted to lift it, you need to use the vibration and the air underneath. Now the air will pull it up. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So
Too much sense.
You need those mediums for the vibrations to go through, and then you just start matching frequencies based on what the frequency that I need to mold and what's the frequency of the lift, because this bitch is fucking heavy versus super small. That may be a different frequency, so like that's where my head has been going with that, and they seem to have fucking grasped that. That's the only way they could have manipulated the movements.
That theory feels really right and on point.
That's where
it's a really good theory.
It's a science. And like everything kind of combining together. I'm trying to make sense of it,
A crackpot style theory.
For sure.
Dang it, you might be onto it. Like, but that is also probably.
No, I hope.
I don't see why.
It's the most science I can give you on that.
These beings that have all this knowledge and technology. That's their science. That's their knowledge and technology. They discovered the universe. They discovered the secrets of the universe, is what it is.
Everything they did was how the universe does it.
And that's how you do anything and everything.
So if you're going to do it, you're going to do it with sound and light.
It's literally how the universe is created on its own. Like, that's how we...
And the universe can create this granite. So we're going to create that granite. And they could do things with that shit that we can't do.
Can't even fathom doing, I bet.
Dude, we were like, really, we look at it and we're like, Do you know how cool this would be? This would be sick,
Yeah.
dude. Like those granite boxes just being carved out like that. Like they just knew how to do shit. They knew how to build the moon to the specifications of the fucking universe. They knew to make it 261. They knew this because it had to be that way. Because the universe will build it that way, and we need to build it that way.
And there's no other way to do it because that's the universal law.
Yeah, if the universe was going to do it that way, we got to do it that way.
Exactly.
So when we come down to Earth, we use all the stones and nature, and we use all the sound and light and vibration, and we go up in the universe, and we start building things at that kind of level too.
Well, and that goes along with the idea that you can't create anything. You can't create energy. It already has to exist for you to use it and create it. Or
That's the law of
create it.
thermodynamics.
So, like, yeah, that's the exact way you create anything or discover anything. I would assume that
nothing can be destroyed nor created. All energy is already here.
Yeah.
It already exists. It was already here. And that makes total sense because if we are energy, we are the electromagnetic waves, and we become this, well, then when we die, we just right back into it.
Yeah. I think that's where a lot of scientists and people that create, try to do this technology stuff is where they get stumped on. They don't know how to grasp the idea behind it's already here. You just have to learn how to harness it. They think they have to create it. They don't understand that they don't have to create it. They just have to learn how to harness it.
You know who taught me
and
this?
they're like,
in some weird fucking way.
Roger, never mind.
Nikola Tesla.
That guy I know. That's who I said.
I'm the sidekick, okay?
I'm sure he did teach you that because guess who his teachers were?
Fucking someone deep, dude.
Dang right.
Someone deep in the universe, in the fucking ground, actually. He probably started sending electrical magnetic waves to the fucking Earth, and they started hitting some of those underground cities, and those bitches were like, yo, what the fuck is going on around you?
We're from Mars. We're Martians from Mars.
Totally from Mars. Don't look down here.
Not to look at
Someone send a spaceship up there and get this shit out of
Literally crashes in. Whoops.
Yeah. Speaking of, by the way, we have a satellite that's artificial that's been orbiting our planet longer than we've ever known, and we have no idea what it is, and NASA has acknowledged it.
Is it that space rock looking thing?
It's like a long, pointy thing. Yeah.
It looks like
It's metal, and we don't know what it is. It's definitely some like ancient space junk from ancient aliens. Yeah, something like that.
Probably space poop.
Yeah, probably. But to really quickly, I just want to say that like he did teach me that everything was already there. When he helped me, he built AC. He developed AC power, and then I grasped what AC meant. That taught me everything's already there. That shit is already there. We just have to learn to tap into it. Tesla, you fucking asshole. Even from your grave, dude.
God, could you imagine if he survived?
Oh my God.
Longer.
I think
years we
would be in that golden era.
Yeah, no, literally.
That's why they killed him.
Utopia.
That's why they
talk about.
That's why they killed him.
Episode
for sure,
bro. No, if
yeah, for sure.
To
for sure.
Begin to wrap up this video of
thoughts?
moon conspiracies. What else do we need to talk about? What do we need to cover? Just a couple more minutes, and let's see what we can pull out of the ether. Or the
the rest of these, I don't think we've pretty much covered all those, and the rest of them are really, it's like. As we did get a nice amount. I'm going to recap on the idea that there's base 60 Sumerian math. That's the oldest known math in culture, and they told us they got it from someone else, built into the moon. That's cool. Crazy in itself.
Yeah.
Then there is the phenomenons that go around the physical side of it where we just can't explain some of the shit that goes on with it. And then there's the astronomical side, or like the universal side of like, there's no other moon like it. Just, it's qualities, its things, what it does, how it, the shape of it, it's perfect.
Yeah.
There's no moon like it.
Ours is special.
It is special because we're special.
We are special.
So
quite special.
That's to me, it kind of covers it.
We didn't talk about the dark side of the moon, but also that doesn't need to be discussed because there's nothing back there.
Well, the problem with that is like I can't find anything on it. You never will.
Well, exactly.
Dude, you never
will.
That's
because of all of the settlements and things that are back there.
Yeah, I do think there's things back there.
There's a carnival back there.
Yeah,
Come on, dude.
There is. Yeah, for sure. I know.
God.
Yeah. It'd be a perfect spot, dude. You think about it, it's like, man, Think about that. You go hide back there, and no species ever could really get to you until like one day you finally, after all these like millennials, you see this little thing floating around. They're like, what the fuck is the monkeys in the fucking sky? There's fucking monkeys floating past us.
Why are they?
Someone shoot that bitch down before they get on the other side and they can radio back. Right now, they can't radio back. They're on the dark side of the moon. They cannot communicate with Earth. They could fucking die, and no one would ever know.
You can't communicate to the dark side, huh?
You cannot communicate to the dark side because there is, unless you had something at an angle that could take
It doesn't
it in.
bend around.
Yeah, correct. It can bend a little bit. We know that. But it can't bend at like a 90 fucking degree angle. You're
What
gonna
if-
have to do some.
What if they have a device and it's not actually dark? You know, like say mirrors reflect light and stuff.
Yeah,
what if they have
it's
some
like-
kind of device to harness the sun?
It's like fucking Vegas over there, you
Yeah.
know? It's just like
we just can't see it. Oh, there's this theory about this giant celestial face being captured next to the moon. And that's like super fringe, like possibly fake theory.
Project BB.
I
can't say the word.
No, you can't.
So I
Don't
said-
even think it.
So I said a BB.
Don't even think it.
I'm thinking BBs.
But like it was a couple videos that swirled around the internet. I don't
did not
see them
notice.
anymore, but it was like a faint celestial, like a giant face next to the
Anything
moon.
that we are going to holographically type of see in the sky, I immediately am going to question that shit.
Well, right. And
Because of BB. Because of that BB bitch.
man,
That little
Ain't-
slut BB.
ain't none of us gonna fall for it. And if we do, sheeple.
Right? You know, like,
But there's so many of them out there.
I
It's
feel
fine. It's okay.
I've always wondered, like,
understand.
how am I supposed to know? And then
You'll
I think,
know.
and then I thought, I'll just know.
You'll
I'll just know.
That's literally what they talk about in the esoteric world is you'll just know.
You'll just know.
You will know.
I'll know
it's a
because
knowing.
I'll fucking suddenly be on the moon.
Exactly. We appreciate you hanging out, listening, watching. If you like this kind of content, subscribe, follow us. We're doing this all the time, anywhere we can. Our content is everywhere. And I mean everywhere. Except for where you can't find it. It doesn't exist there. Welcome to Awakening 101.
Are we starting over?
Yes, it's the beginning.
Am I asleep? Wake up.
I love talking about the moon. It's glorious. It's
don't.
beautiful. It is the reason that we can survive.
It
this
is.
planet.
It's our stabilizer. I'm telling you, that shit was brought here. They put that thing there. They're using it as a base. Come on. Everybody, wake up.
Galactic Federation is a thing.
Yeah, wake up.
Wake up.
Wake up.
Wake up.
The damn thing's fake.
And
Okay,
so
well,
are
it's like
you.
real, but like fake real, okay?
Exactly. It's very real, but very
But
fake.
fake as shit.
It's not natural.
But like the most real thing ever.
Exactly.
Well, it's so fake.
And the fact that it can shapeshift. It just hasn't in a millennia.
Dude, how wild would that be?
I mean, if it's that material, it can shapeshift.
And like, why
I don't see why it would be any other material, right?
why can't the moon dust be magnetic in its nature? And
Like that?
It can mold and morph with it. And that's why when they say they see those little mounds form with the gravitational pull, they just underneath took their magnets and just moved them closer together, and all the moon dust came together, and now you got a stronger magnetic field, and now you got a pull.
And that's why it stays connected to the moon. I was trying to figure that out. Why the crust sticks?
Yeah,
with
I've been trying to figure this out in
the
my head
material
too.
underneath.
That
Right.
to me makes them, and like if it could morph, well, then now you're really fucking shit up. So how would that work? So then I think, well, it would be part of the substance. They would either become one, or it would be like a powder version of it that would be with it. I think it becomes one. I think when you get at that level, you tap that shit, and it's just like, like everything's just one. And then it's like, oh, you want me to be a shell with some powder? Done.
Done.
You want mountains?
Well, that would also mean that it could be an ancient celestial moon that could go around to different solar systems.
Oh, for sure.
And morph to the exact specifications they needed to without
God
any
bless
necessary.
it.
You know what I'm saying?
Fucking right. It didn't have to be
It
built
didn't
just for.
No, it just is here and it's perfectly shaped the way we need it to be.
Touche, dude.
Holy shit.
Yeah, touche. You totally took what I thought I had just figured out and just threw it up on its shit, and then just now I refigured it out. I guess
this is why we were put together, because our brains literally just like boom, boom, boom,
yeah, dude. That makes way more sense.
Because you spark all these. Because I have crazy thoughts on my own.
But we're doing it to each other. You did it to me like 3 times today. I feel like, bro, I'm like
3 times today.
You did me 3 times. Very, very rough with this stuff. Mentally, it just, man.
Your wife has called once or twice already. You should probably say hey or not.